Hi everyone, it's me, Crafty Witch. Welcome back to my channel. I'm in my pajamas. My hair is all blah, it's kind of like the end of the day. So this is going to be a long rambling video. Kind of ties in with the dreams that I had that I posted about recently. So today, this morning, before I went to work, I told my sons, after work when I get home, if they're home, they're not at work, all three of us, because my other son's working out of province right now, but the two that are home, I said, we're going to go and we're going to be proactive and we're going to go and pick up some supplies. We're going to go and get some face masks. We're going to, like the disposable ones. We're going to make sure that our first aid kit is stocked up. And I knew I needed to get some band-aids for that. We're going to make sure we got flu stuff. We're just going to go pick up a few things, some extra dog food, some extra cat food, like just certain things, maybe some extra canned items, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I live in a community that's 17,000 to 20,000 people. And so we've got lots of different drugstores here, like pharmacies. They're all sold out of those face masks. And it was such a huge eye-opener for me because like I had that dream last month. I was told then to start preparing. And did I? No. I was talking to people about it. I shared it with you guys here on YouTube. Well, I just shared it recently with you guys on YouTube, but like in my personal life, I had shared it with some close relatives, of course, with my kids as well. Um, and honest to God, it's kind of like it's really kind of funky, just the way everything that they talked about in that dream. Like I'm talking about all those animals that really kind of freaked me out because they look kind of like little zombies or whatever. But everything that they were warning me about in that dream that they said would start happening, it's all been happening. And it is normal for there to be earthquakes, and it is normal for there to be some natural disasters, and it is normal for things to happen. Did you hear that squeaking? That's the cats are fighting on one of my glass tables and it squeaks. So if you hear that, that's what it is. They're not, I don't think fighting, but they're like jumping down and up and yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it was a huge eye opener to think like, and I come from a very conservative town area, and they're not, these are farming folk, and they're not about like, oh no, they're not like Chicken Little kind of thing, like, oh no, the sky's falling. They're very kind of, take her easy kind of folks, and they're very level-headed and very grounded and down to earth. But to know that every single pharmacy I went to and phoned tonight are all sold out, and none of the pharmacies know when they're going to be getting in those face masks, was alarming. And the one pharmacist said that for his own personal use for him and his family, he was trying to order N95 masks, and he can't even get them in for himself and his family. So then when I came out of that last pharmacy, I was like, oh, shit just got real, y'all. Like, this is not good. And then I hopped in my vehicle with my kids, and my kids are adults, for you, those that have followed me, like they're older, but it was just like, okay, this is where we're at, so we'll go get some supplies. But and then in the meantime, I started Googling this N95 mask, and lo and behold, it popped up in my community that one of the hardware stores that was still open tonight actually sold it. So then we went straight to PV Mart, and I walked in and the lady greeted us, and I asked her, she was working behind the till or whatever. I was like, "Do you have any like face masks?" And she's like, "N95 mask." I'm like, "Yes." She goes, "Come this way." So then she took me to the back. She's like, "Yeah, everybody's wanting these." And then so she took me to the back where they had a few left, and I bought 4 packages. There's 3 in each pack. I think it's like about $5. She told me that her and her husband have already stocked up on those masks, as well as her mother-in-law. And so then we started talking, and so I let her know like all the pharmacies are sold out of the other, like just the kind of like the napkin kind that you can get. And she said, yeah, the N95, they're really good at blocking out the majority of, like they're way better than just the ordinary thing, the ordinary kind that you can buy. So we got that, and it was like, it was just such a huge eye opener because I really didn't expect people in my town to really kind of be wanting to be prepared with regards to the coronavirus. That's what we're kind of preparing for this area. Of course, I want to be prepared for anything, but yeah, I was just shocked. It was like such a huge eye opener. And then I was kind of mad at myself because it was like, fucking Dream told me to start preparing, and I didn't prep for anything, really. Like, I talked to people and was like, yeah, blah, 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 but I wasn't like preparing for anything. Because, I mean, anything can happen anywhere in the world. Eastern Canada got hit with such a massive storm. The snow was, people were like buried in their houses under the snow, and literally opened up their front door and were met with a deep wall of snow, and couldn't, people had to take snow from, when they opened their door you could see the imprint of the whole entire door in the snow, and they couldn't even dig themselves out. They were taking snow, throwing it in the bathtub, trying to melt it so that they can make enough room just to get out and shovel. The people that weren't prepared for that were, because everything was shut down. You couldn't leave your house. You couldn't leave to go anywhere. They were running out of food. People were running out of medicine. People were running out of diapers and baby formula. And it's like, that's what happens when people aren't prepared for anything. And then I started thinking about our pagan ancestors and how they would prepare. And like, I think about my grandparents, you know, my grandmother would do over canning. She would can fruits and vegetables and meat. And she would make sure they had enough to last from one summer literally right through to the next summer, when, you know, the growing season was well established. And people have forgotten that. Like, a lot of people don't know how to hunt. A lot of people don't know how to set snares. A lot of people don't know how to skin animals. A lot of people don't know how to survive out in the bush if they had to. And I'm glad I grew up the way I did. I know what it's like to use an outhouse, and so do my kids. They know what, like, yeah, we live in town now, but out at the farm, what I've talked about, I've got videos that I filmed out there a long time ago. You can probably find them on my channel. There was an outhouse, there was a hand pump for water, there was no indoor plumbing whatsoever. If you wanted hot water, you heated it up on the stove. And if the water well was frozen in the winter, well, I guess you're going to be heating up snow and you're going to make some water. You know, like, I can survive like that. And so can my kids. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm so, so thankful. Through my cooking, through, like, I know how to preserve berries if I had to, you know, how to dry them out and how to crush them and dry them out. And you can make like little patties with them. And, you know, how many people know how to make pemmican? How many people know how to make beef jerky just, you know, over a fire? Like, a lot of people don't know those skills anymore. And we are so far removed from our food chain. You know, we don't grind our own flour. We don't raise our own farm animals anymore. We don't. We're, how many of us have gardens? How many of us do canning? How many of us know what plants are edible out in the wild? What plants are good for medicine and for to treat what kind of ailment? A lot of people don't know those things anymore. I'm not saying I know everything. Absolutely, I don't know everything. There's so much out there that I want to learn and need to learn, but I do feel I'm kind of more ahead of the game by at least knowing how to do stuff like that. And if crap ever hit the fan, and if things ever got really dire, I know where I can go. It's to the farm. There's a wood stove for heat. There's wilderness there. There's a water source. I know we would be okay, for the most part. Uh, but yeah, being prepared, I think that's something that we can learn from our pagan ancestors, because they would have to be prepared. How else could of our ancestors have survived through, like, minus 40, minus 50 below weather? You think back thousands of years ago, we had ancestors living in caves, for crying out loud. They had to think ahead. They had to learn. They had to learn the hard way that you need to be prepared if you want to survive, and you can't just rely on somebody else to be able to look after you. Like, you're going to have to do the work yourself. And if that means picking enough medicines to last you through to the next growing season, then so be it. If that means learning how to do some canning and preserving of food, like food, whether it's fruit or vegetables or meat, then so be it. I think those are all skills that a lot of people should know. Uh, and if you happen to live in a town or a big city or something, if you can, especially big apartment buildings, you think about, like, I remember when my sons lived in an apartment building, their water was constantly being shut off because there was always maintenance done on the boilers, and so everybody's heat would get shut off, and then they got to turn on their oven for heat, and then they had no water, and they had to wait till the boilers were fixed so that the water would be turned back on, because it was all water heat throughout these apartments. Like, if that should ever happen to you, do you have any kind of water on hand for drinking, washing, for your pets, that kind of thing? If not, maybe you want to go get a couple big jugs of water and just keep them on hand. And if you never have to use them, that's fine. You can always water your plants with them and fill them up. Um, there was a book, it was by Laurie Cabot, and oh, I can't remember which one it was. It was one of her books from a long time ago. But she talked about that in one of her books about, she always makes sure she has, like, however many gallons of water stored on hand and food, just in case something should happen, whether it was a big storm, a big power outage, anything like that. I remember, and I'm pretty sure it was Laurie Cabot. I have to go and look. I'm not sure which book it was. But she talked about, like, witches should be prepared. They should always be prepared and anticipate, things like that, just in case something should happen, right? So, just food for thought, just me rambling at the end of a very long day, and it was quite the eye opener. So, I really hope everybody out there will be safe and healthy and happy, and I hope that, like I said, you could take this or leave it, whatever, but I hope that you are proactive and that you do prepare and you do think ahead, and start stocking up on essential items, medications, that kind of thing, if you so choose to. Because if anything should happen in your area, whether it was a pandemic, whether it was a natural catastrophe or something like that, and you are not prepared, don't expect other people to be able to help you, because odds are they're not prepared either. And then everybody's going to rush to the store in last minute and the shelves are going to be empty, and then what, right? So, which is kind of how I felt tonight when I couldn't find any of those masks, but then I ended up finding better quality masks. So check your hardware store for N95 masks. Those are good. And if you're worried about the virus going in through your eyes, well, you know what? Pretty much any kind of flu virus can go in through your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. Those are the 3 points that are very susceptible to catching viruses like that. So it's not just that particular virus, but pretty much any virus you can get that. And if it bothers you that much, go get some swimming goggles. You know, you can go look real funky walking around with swimming goggles and a mask, but hey, you do you, right? As long as you stay alive and you're healthy, that's all that counts, right? So anyway, much love to you guys. Please be safe, take care, and I'll see you soon.